we're here to talk about TikTok.
All right.
So I thought we'd start by introducing ourselves. Heidi, why don't you go first, and then I'll introduce me.
Of course, I'm Heidi. I run a company called the Mice Guru, which is a destination management company here in Norway. So I produce live events of all kinds, mice projects for any type of international clients coming to Norway or choosing Norway as their destination for their events.
Fabulous. And I'm Sabrina Meyers from Hot Hospitality Exchange, which is my online brand and platform where I give an event planner's perspective through all kinds of content, mostly video, on our experiences around the globe, running events, the logistics and the full of it. But I'm also an independent event planner. So today, me and Heidi are here to talk about TikTok. We have been a big part of the digital festival organized by Irina and the Event Planners Talk. And we were going to get into the nitty-gritty of TikTok today, me and Heidi. So what's been happening this week so far is that I have been dropping a video or a TikTok is what we call it every day, and we've been doing TikTok challenges. So every day there's one challenge, and we encourage all event profs to join TikTok and to create these challenges in their own version and from their own perspective. So far, it's been amazing. Some of the event profs have been getting so creative, and we're so excited. And Heidi shared a fantastic post on Instagram just like 10 minutes ago, giving you a bit of an insight into a compilation of all the videos that event profs have been submitting, all the TikToks. So we're going to start the chat talking a little bit about generational differences and why TikTok is so huge right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with, well, yeah, generational differences. So I'm going to hand over that to Heidi, and she's going to talk a little bit about how the different generations use social media, and especially in this case, TikTok.
Gladly, yeah. It's quite important to understand that as a background, because the way we deal with different generations is different, and the outcome will, of course, also be different. So to set it up, a few facts perhaps about the different generations. We talk now about Generation Y, obviously, or the millennials, who are people who are now between 26 and 40 years old, which is actually a large, me too, a large group of our event profs community is within that age group. Generation Z are the digital natives that come right after that, which are between 11 and 25. And that's where we see that Generation G, when you think 25, there's quite a lot of people who are already actively involved in business, in the event planning community, and who are reaching a certain decision level already right now. So it's very, very important to understand what they look for and how we can engage those people. So to tell you a little bit more about both, or the differences between both, we look at certain different topics, which is leadership to begin with. So millennials, they are into a guiding style of leadership. They want to show you things and teach you things, whereas a Generation Z person would be empowering others to do something. So that's their big thing. And I realized that for us, what I'm going to tell you now about the differences between the two generations, for us, we are kind of floating in between that, especially as forward-thinking event professionals. We tend to go and look to the next generation and also get inspiration from there, which I think is quite important to mention. We learn as millennials or Generation Z people learn through interactivity. So that's a big difference from the previous generations, where the next generation is taking it even further. They are learning in what we call a multimodal way. So from all kinds of inputs, multi-channels, from everywhere, they really absorb absorb everything, and it has to be very fast paced. So they will pick things that capture their attention. We get influenced in the millennial age range mostly by our peers and by community, and what we're doing now with the eventprofs community and the digital festival is a very nice example of that. We are all encouraging each other, we are supportive, and we are helping each other to test out new things. There is no judgments, so we learn from each other in that way, where the digital natives will mostly look into forums. They will not necessarily get as much advice from their peers. They will get their information and then kind of do it on their own. And they like, instead of the millennials who love a lot of support, they actually want to collaborate. So they want to have a boss in their workplace who is a collaborator, and not someone who supports them as we or millennials are mostly used to. Not someone who pushes you forward, but they want to be the one in charge. They want their boss to be on the same level and be a collaborator. So that's also what we see in terms of marketing and digital content. If you think about millennials, they are 24/7. They've been online for a while now. They've linked all their social media accounts, but they are not yet as digital as obviously the digital natives or Generation Z. They are super social. They are connected everywhere. So that's basically what is happening through TikTok as well. Generation Y, or the millennials, mostly communicated through Facebook, used LinkedIn a lot, used WhatsApp a lot, and still use it now in terms of project management, for example, or discussing in a team. WhatsApp has become a very important tool to them.
Absolutely.
Whereas Facebook and WhatsApp are kind of outdated for Generation Z youngsters, but you know, up to 25 is not really a youngster anymore. Millennials like thinking outside of the box. They like living a trendy lifestyle. They like, they are called spenders as well. So basically they enjoy spending money, and also they like to express their feelings and thoughts through social media, which was really, really new. So for millennials, they still get a lot of reactions from older generations, or for example, high-level management that's a little bit older, that comment on the way they present themselves on social media. Like, isn't that a little bit too over the top? Are you sure that's okay to do? It looks a little ridiculous. But that's not necessarily true, especially if we think forward to the generation after the millennials. They are totally about expressing yourself freely and showing your true personality, because they want to pick someone they work with based on your personality and on your personal brand, rather than who the company is that you work in or for. So that's really important to understand. And why should we look at TikTok? Because it's moving so fast. Just as with Instagram, in the beginning, everybody thought it was just fun but not really interesting. And after a while, all the businesses were to be found on Instagram. And now with TikTok, this development is even faster because of the lockdown, because people had lots of time to investigate, even if they didn't think about it to begin with. There's many, many people also in an older age group that started exploring what TikTok is all about. And definitely it's going to get super important for businesses to exploit that and to be a part of that. And so it's a very long introduction.
What's a really important point that you brought up about, you know, the newest generation, that I like to call them, is how they do express themselves online right now. Basically, they put their heart on their sleeve. What you see is what you get. It's a lot more raw content. And I think the reason why TikTok has been so popular is because most of it is just real, authentic, raw content. You know, people doing dances, people lip syncing. And it's kind of, you know, it doesn't have to be that photoshopped image. It doesn't have to be that edited video, which is what is flooding Instagram and Facebook nowadays. Whereas TikTok is kind of, for lack of better words, keeping it real. So this is the reason that, you know, the youngsters are on there, and it's getting to the level that it is because everyone is seeing that, hey, I don't have to be a genius. I don't have to be a video editor. I don't have to be someone that's impressive with editing skills in order to create awesome content on TikTok. I can just be me, and I can just do my spin or my perspective of a TikTok and put it on there. And who knows, it could go viral. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So the first question that we thought we'd ask a few questions and answer a few questions on TikTok. The first question is, how do I set myself up on TikTok? Where do I even start? So if you're watching this and you haven't even started TikTok yet, basically you do the first thing, you download the app, you sign up, you pick your name. Now, what's very, very important that I have been researching this obviously in the past few weeks, every single word that you put on TikTok, whether it's on the post, whether it's on your profile, whether it's, you know, somewhere visible on your profile, this is all searchable content and searchable keywords that come up on Google if you do a native search. So if you want people to be looking for, say, for me, Hot Hospitality Exchange, then your username should obviously be either Hot Hospitality Exchange or a version of that brand of yours. If you are, like, for example, with Heidi, she's the Mice Guru, so that is her brand and her tag is the Mice Guru. So she would come up on a search on Google as the Mice Guru on all platforms, including TikTok, because it's searchable. So it's very, very important for all of you to pay extra attention to those three lines that come under your profile picture, and obviously pick an awesome profile picture, something that represents you, and connect to the platforms that you are very, very active on. So if you're not obviously that active on TikTok, but you're super, super active on Instagram, Facebook, if you have WhatsApp for business, the beauty of TikTok is that it's very, very shareable, the content. So if you're connected, you can share your content on all different platforms. So you should definitely be doing those two things to start. And then my third piece of advice is just spend. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 20 minutes. We've got quite a lot of time coming up in the summer holidays. It could be an hour, a few. It could be a car ride, whatever it is. Spend some time watching videos, scrolling, but also very, very important, like what you see. If there's a video that you think is cool, if there's a video that you think is interesting, if there's a TikTok that you're like, yeah, this is awesome, click the like button, because the algorithm will then start to understand what it is that you like seeing, and they'll give you more of that on your feed, and they'll find other people that you might be interested that produce the same content, or they'll get an idea for what your vibe is and what it is that you want to see and engage with. So these are the three things I would say in terms of how to start. Anything to add to that, Heidi?
Well, actually, one small thing, when you said profile picture, I would also not forget about the little bio, or at least a few keywords to describe who you are, because it's very, very interesting, and it catches the attention immediately, especially if you're looking for someone in your industry, for example, or you're looking for an event prof. You see immediately, okay, that's somebody that I need to follow, or who I'd love to follow or listen to.
Exactly. So hashtag event prof. If you're an event prof, make sure you have that in your bio. If you are a DMC, hashtag DMC. You know, key things that if they look at your, if they have that. Well, DMC is a hard one because it's only event profs that would see hashtag DMC and get it. But if that's the audience that you want, and that's the language you have to use in order to get that audience. So, you know, it makes it more targeted. So do think about what words you are going to put there, what hashtags you're going to put there.
That brings us to, brings us to the next question, actually. How does one go viral or create viral content on TikTok? And actually, first of all, mentioning that about finding your industry peers, the question for us is also, do we need to go viral? Because in this first phase, it's not necessarily important to have all of those random people, youngsters, the entire world watching us. It's very important to actually find the right people to connect with, because we are not looking for TikTok fame. We are looking to build a community of event profs on TikTok. But in the same time, of course, it's great to build a first larger size audience in the beginning, especially if you want to use TikTok to go viral afterwards. You need at least 1,000 followers, as that's going to become more important. And our eventprofs community is not yet that big that we can find so many people to join our, or to follow us, to like our thing. So it's interesting to try some things to go viral to begin with. So definitely we have the typical things, the dancing, the acting funny, the challenges, you know. You can fill in on that perhaps, Sabrina, what you think are the best things to go viral with?
Absolutely. We have a question from Irina saying, would you recommend to be niche or go viral? Which is exactly what Heidi has been saying. Sometimes you can stay niche and go viral. So to be honest, nobody knows the real algorithm of TikTok. That is the magic of TikTok. You don't know what's going to go viral, but people kind of have the same tips and tricks that they give. So I follow quite a lot of digital content creators on TikTok, and they always give, there's a lady called Mandy Dewey, and she works for Google, and she actually uses TikTok as an experimental platform to learn about its algorithm and then give tips on what could perform, what doesn't perform. So obviously engagement is very, very important on TikTok. So if you create a video and someone likes it, someone comments on it, you need to comment back or try to engage with people. That's very, very important. And then, you know, TikTok notes that, and then you get better engagement and algorithm. And TikTok, there are a ton of ways to create content that other people that are on TikTok that might not necessarily be event profs can understand and how do I say, empathize with, or right? So for example, you, like Heidi said, you can do all the dance challenges. There's a ton of dance challenges. You don't have to do the dance challenges necessarily like the people on TikTok are doing it. You can do it from an event profs point of view in front of your laptop whilst you're doing a Zoom. You just make it your own, right? You can do lip syncs, which is one of my green screen video today, which I dropped on my TikTok at HH Exchange, was a lip sync from a Cardi B statement that she said with the green screen of Zoom on the background. And I just took what she said and I put it into the perspective of how would I use it as an event prof and make a funny video, right? And then what else? There's also pranking. Well, pranking is a very, very big thing right now. There's something called don't go away, or let me come with you, or something like this. It's basically they take words and they bring them together and they prank. And so it's always important to kind of see what's out there, what are the things that are trending, and try to do them from your perspective. You could make it fun. But this is where the watching comes in. I think it's important to see how other people are creating TikToks, and you get inspiration from watching other people's videos who might not necessarily be event profs, but you can turn how they've done something into how you want to do it from an event profs perspective, for example. So if you want to stay within the niche, stay within your niche. You know, I am staying within my niche in terms of creating things from an event profs perspective, or always having event profs in the comments so it links back. And I have been lucky in terms of a couple of videos, what I think going viral, in that they have gotten over 50,000 views. Now, can I explain why they went viral? No. The one video that I have, or the two videos that I have that have gone viral are two very, very different videos. One is basically me pointing at a man in an LED costume that looks like a robot who comes over to me, and then he waves at the camera and then he goes away. There's nothing special about that, but I thought it was something really cool at an event that I did. And I thought I'll do a 15-second TikTok about it with a popular song. These are important. Use the songs that are trending in your videos, because that's one way of getting TikTok to, I guess, circulate your videos more to more people, is to use the songs that they recommend. So when you find, you do your video, or try to find a song that you like and then create the video for that song, which is in some cases what I tend to do more than creating a video and then adding the song to that video, because that flips it up a little bit. And the second video was just a tour of what I thought the 5 cool things were at the Crown Plaza in Hamburg. And for some reason, that also went viral. I cannot tell you the reason, but it just did. So a lot of times it could also be that every day there's new content creators. As we've seen this week, so many event pros have joined TikTok. And as you get more and more content creators, the algorithm changes completely. So that's going to affect what you see, who comes up on your feed, and give you more inspiration in terms of what kind of content that you can create. So we have a question going, do you think that TikTok will become more relevant than Instagram? It's a good question.
Well, actually, can I say a few words about the niche? Actually, if you do niche content and you stick to that, I do think that it's really important to be extra creative with your content and not use your existing content to post it in the same way as you would on Instagram.
Correct.
But like you said, comedy works really great on TikTok, and you need to get that engagement, and also often in a shorter period of time. So in 15 seconds or maximum 60 seconds, you need to be exciting. So it needs to be vibrant. So that's why it's important to do that, to follow all the other TikToks and to learn about the effects you can use and the funny stuff that's going on, and then incorporate that into what you have, your existing content. Like if you're doing a site inspection or a visit or showing something, don't just do it in a documentary style, but add something extra to it to make it vibrant for TikTok. And also, if I believe TikTok is going to become more relevant, definitely as we move forward and Generation Z is growing up, and you have more of those decision makers or those people on decision making level in our industry, then TikTok will definitely become very, very relevant. And I think it's good that we all get involved now and learn the tricks of it now and get out there to be a part of the community, because I think it's going to really grow very rapidly, even faster than Instagram did.
I think that's very important, and it's a good question, because also I think TikTok got very relevant for the times, because one thing that I believe is happening is that people's attention spans are getting shorter. And the reason why TikTok has done so well is because they're just doing 15-second videos. Don't need much more. If you want to make it a bit more meatier, you go up to a minute. And now Instagram kicked off and probably got a new second life when they introduced their stories feature. And again, it's playing on the same foundation of people's attention spans are getting like shorter. So it's about delivering that message and that impactful content in a shorter period of time. And if you have a platform where you can create that content and deliver it in that short period of time to make an impact, those are the platforms that are going to stay relevant, because, you know, you're not going to go to TikTok and Instagram to read a novel about something. You know, a lot of people are actually spending, and I've seen this myself, when I open up my Instagram app, I directly click on the circles. I actually don't really go to my feed that much, or whoever else's feed. I actually would only go to that person's feed if what I thought was interesting in their story, then I want to know more about them. I might click on their profile to see the actual feed.
You're an Instagram user with a TikTok mind, Sabrina.
Exactly. And this just in this morning, apparently Instagram is also trialing a TikTok type feature, which they're going to be called Reels. And they're trialing it in Brazil at the moment, where it's going to be TikTok type videos. In their Insta stories is where you'll be able to create it, but you'll also be able to share these not only just in your stories, but into your feed, so that they have a longer shelf life and longevity, because we know stories are only valid for 24 hours. So let's see how that develops and if that's going to impact TikTok, because obviously there's
Instagram
big giants fighting together, right?
Yeah, of staying relevant.
Yeah, so the third question is, do we keep it professional, or do we do unrelated TikToks, or mix it up? What do you think, Heidi? I think you're the queen of this. I think it's fantastic.
Well, you know me a little bit. I like to mix things up, definitely. I like to test my boundaries and see what is possible and what's out there. Sometimes go a little bit over the line to figure out, okay, that was maybe a little bit too much. Yeah. But I'm definitely a firm believer in being a little bit more creative than just within the scope of our work, to attract a wider audience, but also to test things, to not be scared in creating something that may look ridiculous at first, but that becomes relevant later on.
Absolutely.
And I also think that the way you work with TikTok shows, I said it already, shows your personality in a way. And after some time, when people will start looking out for people to work with, like content creators or a DMC or whoever in the industry, they want to see your creativity. They don't want to see you talking about a topic. They will get inspired by what who you are and how you portray yourself, and if it looks fun to work with you, and if you are in a fun environment. So I think it's quite important to dare to be a little bit more out there than we usually would be, to not hold yourself back too much. Even if you feel you really need to stick to your niche, just push yourself a little more out of your comfort zone, because that's what TikTok is all about. As you said, the rawness of it is really important.
And it's the beauty of TikTok is it is just so creative, and there's so many things that you can use. There's so many effects. There's so many lip syncs. You know, what's one thing that I tend to do, for example, is when I'm scrolling through my TikToks every day, you know, I have a TikTok hour, so I'm on TikTok every day, just looking
You're
at
so disciplined.
You know, I mean, my husband's like, but, you know, but I'm scrolling through TikTok, and what I see is, you know, whenever you see a fun video, or you see someone doing a lip sync, you know, you can use that sound. If you create a TikTok and you come up with something interesting, like, calm down, I'm an event planner, you know, someone can actually use that sound and create another video using your sound. And that will increase your engagement even more. You know, so there's so many ways to think outside the box and use TikTok, which is already an outside the box platform in itself. So I would say mix it up, absolutely, because you want people to know what you do and give examples and throwbacks to what you have done. But I think you also want, as Heidi said, people to know you, and people to kind of have a feel for, if you, for example, are a DMC or an agency owner, to have a feel for the culture of the organization. What is the team like? How do you feel? Like, do you want to work with these guys? They look like fun, you know? I know one of the UK event agencies, I think it's DRP Group. They created an awesome TikTok using a very trending song, and it was a very trending dance where they basically had to go up stairs, like two people at the same time. Right. And so two of them were going up. They did it in their office. Two of them were going up stairs, and one was going up in the lift, and you could see because it's a glass lift, and they just did it. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So to me, it was like, oh, they're fun. Because they look like a fun team to work for and to work with. And I think if you can relay that all just through the visual medium of a TikTok, that's pretty huge. So, you know, you don't have to keep it professional. You can keep it professional and still fun, but then throw in unrelated stuff as well, that you can still track back to your personality. Oh, let's see. We've got a question. But
that's amazing, actually, that DRP are already on there and already doing that at this stage, which kind of takes us to the next question, like how we can involve more event profs to join the whole TikTok community. But let's see what Irina is asking. If you are a CVB seeking to work as an influencer on a fan trip, how much tolerance will you have to funny videos? Well, educating the CVBs will be a part of our job. Like, as content creators and as partners, as DMCs, it's important, and I do that also here already in Norway on a daily basis now, to point out that these new channels are becoming increasingly important to market oneself with. There is a lot of CVBs that are doing an awesome job, and some might already be on there, actually on TikTok. I think I've seen a few, but there's also a lot of them who are kind of stuck in their ways and only market through Facebook, and they're still not very engaging or interactive in their social media. And that's something that needs to change, but that's also a great opportunity for all content creators to actually deliver services that the CVBs are not comfortable with. So definitely they need to learn about how that level of being funny is going to be increasingly important in the ways they market their destinations, for sure.
I think at CVB being on TikTok would be awesome. I mean, imagine the kind of content that you could come up with, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're not going to a destination, you're not going to consider a destination with boring, serious content. You know, if they create something super interesting, then you're going to pay more attention to that destination or something more impactful. And you know, this wasn't a TikTok, but I remember Zurich Convention Bureau came up with this video, and it was like, I don't know, like a 7 or 8 minute video. It was a pretty long video, but I watched it from start to end because it was just a story of this guy who is a conference attendee, and he fell asleep on a bench in Zurich because it's that safe that you can do that. And he woke up and he was talking about how his night had spiraled after he had attended a conference and all the amazing things he did in Zurich at the end of it. And that was super, super creative. So it's not that CVBs can't get creative. They can. They just have to see if they could create something like that as a TikTok. You know, you could probably create small moments from an actual, you know, video that you've created for your CVB in order to present that. So I think, you know, it's mindset. At the end of the day, it's mindset, it's education. You know, if you can give an example of what you can do for that CVB, and they have the open mindset to saying, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what could we achieve with this, you know, then that's a step forward.
It's definitely up to you to push them, up to all of us to push them to think ahead and take that step. And I think Switzerland is actually already on TikTok. We'll have to check it out later on and see who is actually there.
Absolutely.
Let's move on perhaps to the next question of how we enlarge our community. How do we bring more event profs onto TikTok? I think we've already been doing a great job at that recently in the last couple of days. It's been a fast development, but how do we bring in even more people to join the community?
How do we get even more people to the community? Well, obviously the digital festival, as you've said, has been really, really fantastic in not just getting people onto TikTok, but getting people online, you know, getting people joining the IG lives, getting them taking part in Twitter chats, getting them joining TikTok and creating TikTok. But I think it's the sense of community and the sense of sharing. I think the fact that everyone has been willing to take that step to try something out is because they know that someone else is going to like it. Someone's going to appreciate what they've done and someone's going to share it. You know, so I think that's the most important part of it, because I know when I drop a TikTok that it might be appreciated by another event prof. And I think a lot of the TikToks that have been produced this week, we've gotten so much support. People have been sharing, people have been commenting, people have been liking, and it's you know, it's that whole feel good of creating something and then having it be noticed, having it be appreciated. And I think it's continuing the battle of getting not just people on TikTok, but getting the events profs community as a whole on social media, you know. And if they are already on social media, that's great, but getting them to actually embrace it and use it to the best of its capabilities for their own personal brands and for their own businesses, that's the difference, you know. Exactly, creating something together, the power of community. I think that's the one way. And I think it's also us individually, you know I do this, Heidi, you do this, Irina definitely does it, you know. We do go out of our way to find other event profs, you know, that are creating different content, that are, you know, champions within their certain fields. So it's like almost using your influence and your platform to bring someone else in and share the stage with them and then get their platform going and then just continue that domino effect and just spreading it out, because that's the only way we're going to be able to empower everyone and get them online and
get inspired by each other. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, can you tell us about some TikTok gestures and slang that are commonly used by TikTokers? So we said, what were we discussing? That we wanted to come up with like a gesture ourselves.
And follow me on TikTok. I actually, to be honest, haven't had a chance to check if it's any other bad symbol at all. But we were talking about.
We decided on this, didn't we? TikTok. Like, if you want to do TikTok, like.
Follow me on TikTok. You know, at HH Exchange and at the Mice Guru. We're gonna have to double check that signals still though, because you know we might be saying something very rude. I actually read an article.
Like, this is rude. Sorry.
I actually read an article recently about how youngsters are using actual gang signals in their TikToks, and the original blood gangs of the US are reacting, saying I would not advise you to do that in public or in certain areas because you might literally get killed. You know, it's all fun and games, but be careful with the signals that you use. That's the first important.
Absolutely. I mean, we know that from you know, history. There are lots of powerful gestures and symbols and signage that you can do with your fingers that you really shouldn't be doing. I mean, the only one, look, I would say in terms of the world of TikTok, just keep it to lip syncing and just keep it to following the dances or creating your own spin on the dances. Unless you see something that, and if you see a gesture or a movement that you're intrigued with, like you want to know what it means, just comment and ask them the question, and get the answer from the content creators themselves, because there's a lot left open if you Google it or it's open for interpretation. And I think the only movement that I was seeing on TikTok was like people were doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like they're doing
You told me about that one.
So
yeah.
I was like, what does that mean? So this actually comes from anime cosplay, and it means that you're very shy. So you don't want to, like, you know, and that's what it means, you know? So if you do something and then you do this, it's just like, oh, I did it. It's so silly, but I'm really shy. So don't, like, you know.
Yeah. And also a lot of youngsters are saying it's awkward, like when they feel awkward. That's like awkward.
So that's one of the slangs that I've seen. But obviously, you know, there's not just gestures, but there's also slang in terms of words. And Heidi,
a lot of language.
Saying there's lots of interesting words that the youngsters are using nowadays. So why don't you give us some examples, Heidi, of words that they're using?
Well,
or emojis,
the ones emojis, definitely emojis and slang, and yes, Serena, that's really interesting. To read the comments on videos is quite insightful on TikTok. So basically, yeah, what I was surprised about is abbreviations. So many abbreviations all the time. It's like, together with shortening our attention span from generation to generation, we are shortening words. Like it's not nice anymore to use full words because, you know, it's too much effort. Yeah. So the younger generation uses a lot of abbreviations, and I had a good laugh at myself recently. I told you about that with a very simple one that was so straightforward that everybody knows, but I was just so stuck in that moment, thinking, what is RN? RN, please.
RN? Can anyone take a guess? Put it in the comments. What does RN, hashtag RN, what do you think that is? Anyone? Just write it in the comments.
Come on, try it. Let's and I have another one for you. IDRC. RN and IDRC. These are so commonly used, and they are.
RN and IDRC. Now, IDRC and RN.
Try it.
So,
come on, Irina, give it a go. So not only that, abbreviations, but also lots of emojis that are being used in different ways than that we knew them as before, or perhaps you wouldn't necessarily have used them before, but they became important because of TikTok. So an example of that is the fishing line with a fish on it. Basically, that's a new way a lot of young people use to comment on the fact that they think people are just fishing for compliments. When they are creating a TikTok that's really just about me, and look at me, they might reply very quickly with that fish on the rod to tell you, okay, that was not cool, you know, we know you're great.
That is hilarious. I would have not known. I would have been like, why does this person think I'm fishing? Like literal fishing. But
exactly. I mean, Irina, look, she has no idea. Well, let me tell you, you're not the only one. RN is just plain and simple right now. That was actually an easy one, not so hard
plain and
to figure
simple
out.
right now. Exactly.
And IDRC is I don't really care, because that's very common in Generation Z, that people don't really care about what you think about them. What, really not right now?
See, Thomas, you got the second part of it right. It was right now.
Close enough. Yeah, it's a combination of the two. Yeah. so really. Seriously, they don't care about people's opinions as much, or they would like to portray themselves as such. They do care. Actually, everybody wants the attention and the recognition, and they want to be perceived as cool, but they just will use I don't really care a lot in their general communication as well. And there's another one that
I think one piece of advice that I can give in terms of gestures and slang is, in your vicinity, if you know anyone like younger, if you have children that have their own TikTok accounts, or for me, you know, my niece is 14, no, she's 11 years old and she's all about the TikTok. You know, ask them instead of going, oh God, this is all so stupid, you know, I can't understand, you know, why you're doing this. Use them in terms of information, get the insight from them. Find out what.
You will also be like, oh God.
Yeah, and be like, so why did you put this emoji? What does that mean? Or what kind of hand gestures, or what is the most popular dance now? What are you and your friends at school doing? Because this is all what you can use for your own content in your own perspective that could also be trending, or make it more relevant to the audience that are watching it, going, oh, she knows about the fishing, you know, and she knows about the, you know, well, I knew about, is it NP, which is no problem, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously Dua Lipa had a song called IDGAF, which I cannot say online, but it's basically I don't give a, you can finish the rest of that. So, you know, you see lots of abbreviations. Abbreviations are all about, are all over TikTok, just because you have so little place to play with what you want to say. And I think a lot of youngsters tend to just abbreviate all the information and their content.
Also in texting or...
Yeah, so
but exactly, I mean, the fact that Dua Lipa released that song is because they see that evolution, and she also wants to be relevant in that age group. So that's basically what's happening. Shorter words, more abbreviations. There's also one that I find quite funny. It's to be the CEO of something. Like, we are perhaps actual CEOs. The next generation is, you know, everybody you meet is a CEO of something. You have the CEO of twerking.
You see, Sabrina, what is K? Okay, so for everyone that is watching, when you think you're writing okay on social media or anywhere online, do not ever write just K. This is the biggest piece of advice I can give you, because the official meaning of K, just the letter K, means FU. So basically, if someone says something and you're like, K, you're basically telling them to F off. That's basically what it means. So I would just not do it. So this is so important, why you need to know about slang and keep yourself up to date, because for the longest time, I was saying K, K, K. Okay, but I didn't understand that's what it's meant until someone actually, Actually, it was Mohammed. Mohammed was the one who was like, you do realize you just told me to F off. And I was like, what? She's like, and he's like, that's what this means. You have to, if you want to say okay, you write okay. You can't abbreviate. Like, why are you abbreviating okay even more? Like, just don't make it K. Like, you can't just.
But just the same as with the gestures, be careful. Like, if you're not sure, don't use it. Don't try to be cool and use something and then really mess up. Like, first make sure that you know what you're actually saying.
Exactly. So yeah, you know, that was the last of our questions. Me and Heidi have actually done a duet. Now, if you want to see what a duet is, go actually to Heidi's TikTok. But I will also be putting it on my Insta story as well as Heidi on what a duet is. And that is actually one of the most fun ways to connect with someone else that's a TikToker, or to leverage off someone that probably has a big following on TikTok. You pick their video and you do a duet with what they've created. So either you're reacting to it, or you are adding to it, or you're somehow responding to their video with your thoughts or your reactions. And it's a really great way to interact and engage with TikTokers online. And we thought we would create an example. So given that Heidi is from Norway, I did a spin of one of my, actually it's probably my most favorite video in the entire universe, which is Take On Me by AHA. So I created my version of it. So we're going to drop it in our Insta stories right after this chat, so you get to see how we did it. I did the video first, and then Heidi did her duet to add it onto that. So if you are the person creating the video, obviously it's going to stay on your TikTok. It's going to look a bit weird because you're kind of pointing to someone or whatever. But it allows you to kind of
open actually the door. Keep it private. You can actually keep it private and then adjust the privacy setting.
There you go. So you can keep it private and just upload the one that's already duetted, right? I believe, as a TikTok. And then that should be cool to do. So yeah, so we're going to drop that. Anything else, Heidi? We've got 10 minutes. Is there anyone who has any questions about TikTok?
AHA is Norwegian. Just saying. That was very, very well thought through, if you did think it through that far. I loved your idea.
I did. I was like, what can I do where it would be so high? It has to be Norway based. And of course, I love AHA. You know, any 80s child loves AHA. I mean, this is a given. So I thought I would use, so what I did was I went onto Google and I Googled Take On Me AHA. And then I went to images and I found an image of the AHA video. And then I used the green screen effect to have the AHA video in the background. And if anyone has seen the AHA Take On Me video, it's basically everyone running around in cartoon format. So I pretended to be running around this video looking for the best DMC in Norway. And then I went and I did this, this
so
sort of
cute
like,
though, really, thank you. But it's a great idea, and as you said, a great way to get to know other event profs and to engage them and to get to know each other, really. We can be doing duets all day long. No, not necessarily, but
but it's a good way forward, I think. It's a cool way to kind of get people involved and see their work and how they respond to it as well. So
one thing I saw though, and I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted to reply with a green screen myself and, you know, continue your story. But I noticed that when you do a duet, you don't actually have access to those effects, or when you select them, they don't do or it didn't work out for me. I couldn't like bring myself on top of the image. So I don't know. I don't know if it's an issue that I've had now. I'll have to check it out even further, or if it's just not possible. But come to think of it, I haven't really seen duets with effects. It's usually people sitting, watching, and yeah. So perhaps that is a kind of a limitation that you have when you do a duet. But no worries.
A very popular one is, I think, one of J-Lo, where she's doing something and then her bum is kind of in this direction. And then whoever's doing a duet, like, pretends they got hit by her bum. So, you know, something like this. So it's really
throwback, I think.
Great way to do stuff. So yeah, 10 minutes. What else can we talk about TikTok? I did want to talk a little bit about the music side of it, because inherently the glue or the glue that brings everything together on TikTok is the music. And that is what sets it apart from Instagram in a big way. And what I guess when someone asks you, what is the power of TikTok? Think about this for a minute. Every single song right now that's on your Spotify today's chart list is because it gets played millions of times on TikTok.
I'm sick of so many songs already, actually.
That you're hearing on the radio is because people keep using them and hearing them on TikTok. And one way for artists to make their songs go viral or get the play is that they'll release the song and they'll do a video going, this is my video, this is my song, I love to see what you guys are going to do with it. And then they just drop it into the TikTok sphere and they see what happens. And lots of celebrities have had success with that, like Drake and Dua Lipa and Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande, everyone, like tons of top celebs, and even celebs that, or even celebrities that are just starting out, or singers that are just starting out. This has been a way for them to launch their music and for people to get to know them. Like Dojo Cat, I want to say, you know, her I'm a bitch, I'm a boss, like that song was huge and no one knew about her till before TikTok. Till after TikTok. So, you know, it's a huge platform, and I think you have to see it in how brands can also use it that way to launch themselves.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see what TikTok is going to do in terms of copyright. Like, for example, on Instagram, our venue showcase got cut short by 2 minutes, literally entirely at the end, but I lost the entire IG live feed because of it, because the last song the DJ played was a few seconds too long, because he was very careful in using his mixes and integrating his, DJ tasted every now and then in between the songs to avoid copyright issues when you are live on Instagram, because you just get thrown off. So it was luckily in the end of the stream, but that's something to look out for when you go live and you have music in the background. And I was trying to post a video of our yacht event in the fjords on Instagram, and it was immediately rejected because of copyright while the DJ was playing a song. But I posted it on TikTok, and there it's fine, you know, it's there, and it has a lot of views. So
I think if it's music that you can add to your stories and your TikToks on the platform, they've probably paid for the permissions and the rights for you to use that music, so you can use it at free will. But if it's music that's in the background, they probably will mute that, or the sound is off. I've seen lots of TikToks where the sound is off because they don't have the permission to have it. And I guess that's probably what happened with yours, where you need special permission or you need to overlay that with other music. We have a question from Irina, question about live streaming on TikTok. Is the function available in Europe? Can't find it. Seems they're just testing it. It is available, but you have to have at least 1,000 followers.
1,000 followers.
In order to go live on TikTok. And another question from Sash Management. Hey, what do you think about the new feature Reels on Instagram? We touched on this a bit of a while ago, that it is launching. It's being tested in Brazil at the moment. I think it'll be interesting. Well, you know, it's kind of like Facebook launching stories. You know, it didn't do as well as when Instagram.
It didn't do as well, no.
So I think with Reels, it'll be a great additional feature to have on Instagram. But will it overtake TikTok? Probably very highly unlikely, because I actually think the platforms are quite different in terms of who uses them and how they use them. If it becomes a solely, you know, TikTok is solely a video sharing platform, and it's a creative video sharing platform, where with Instagram you can actually put still images and you can write like big paragraphs of things under your phone, and there's an actual feed in that sense with the written word. So it'll just depend. I don't think that shift will ever happen. But if it does start, I would be very excited to use Reels on Instagram, because that's always cool. I
mean, they're just trying to stay relevant, just as every other social media platform, by coming up with new features that are basically kind of some kind of a copy of the new social media platforms that are out there. So yeah, exactly. Even if we look at LinkedIn, Twitter, I mean, they're constantly innovating in a way, if you can call it innovation, because it's basically copying what the others are doing. But you can also see that a lot of platforms are being bought up by the same entity, the same corporation, and in the end it will all just blend together like Facebook and Instagram have done. So
I also think there's something to be said for, if you're the first to get there, you're always going to be, you know, like Facebook was the first social media platform to get there, to do this kind of social networking. So whilst it might not be the most popular platform now, it's not going to go away, because it was always is the first place to start. So it's about evolving for them and seeing how they can evolve. With Instagram, again, they were the first, you know, to do certain things, and with TikTok, they're the first to do certain things. So I think you'll always have that. So the only way that someone else can prosper over all these platforms is if there's another platform that starts somehow where they do something completely different, and they manage to catch the attention of, well, the younger generation, because they're the future.
But I think, and Thomas touched on that, I do believe that as with technology, things are now evolving even faster, so fast. There's new stuff coming up all the time, and we can see that young people are the first to start using a certain platform, and then they disappear just as quickly. So with TikTok, I think that's going to happen very soon, just because of the fact that the millennials also caught up really fast.
Yeah,
as mentioned, partially because of the lockdown. So the youngsters don't think it's cool anymore to be there. If they see their parents on that platform making a fool out of themselves, they don't want to be there anymore. They're moving on to somewhere else. And right now, a lot of people are saying Facebook is basically grandparents, you know, staying in touch with their grandkids and posting pictures and writing lots of long, unnecessary comments about their day. I mean, it's the same thing with every new platform, as it's the same thing with every new destination. First, it's hip and cool, and you have all the trendy, you know, jet setters and the trendy content creators everywhere, and then they disappear, and it's moving on to the next. So that's definitely even going to be faster now.
So on the back of that, as we have 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining, I guess the message is, if you're asking why get on TikTok, that's exactly the reason, as Heidi said. Well, strike while the iron is hot. Get on this platform now. Create this content, TikTok. And, you know, what do you have to lose aside from learning about a new platform, experimenting and creating content? And, you know, the most important thing about TikTok is its shareability. You can, you know, if you're killing it on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever platform that you're on, you can share every single thing that you create on TikTok to those platforms. So, you know, you can just add an ally in terms of arsenal, in terms of your social media. So yeah, 30 seconds left. Thank you very much, Heidi. I thought it was a fantastic
Thank you,
live.
Sabrina.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining, everybody. Exactly. Go follow us.
Go follow us on TikTok.
And go make
at HH Exchange, and Heidi is at the Mice Guru. And we're going to drop our duet right after this, so stay tuned for that. Give us all your love, give us all your likes, and we will do it back. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.